George's grandma was a selfish, grumpy old woman. She had pale brown teeth and a small, puckered-up mouth, like a dog's bottom. What's more, George had a pretty good idea that she was a witch. She was really horrible. He sat in the kitchen, too frightened to go back into the room where Grandma was. There on the sideboard stood the bottle of medicine. It never did Grandma any good, but she had to have it 4 times a day, and the next dose was due at 11 o'clock. Suddenly, George knew exactly what to do about that horrid old witchy woman. He would make her a new medicine, one that was so strong it would either cure her completely or blow off the top of her head. He took an enormous saucepan from the sideboard and placed it on the kitchen table. "George!" came Grandma's shrill voice from the next room. "What are you doing?" Nothing, Grandma." "You needn't think I can't hear you just because you closed the door. You're rattling the saucepans." "No, I'm just tidying the kitchen, Grandma." And then there was silence. George had absolutely no doubts whatsoever about how he was going to make his famous medicine. He wasn't going to fool about wondering whether to put in a little bit of this or a little bit of that. Quite simply, he was going to put in everything he could find. Nobody had ever made a medicine like that before, and if it didn't actually cure Grandma, at least it would cause some exciting results. George decided to work his way around the various rooms one at a time and see what they had to offer. Upstairs in the bathroom, George gazed at the famous and dreaded medicine cupboard, but he didn't go near it. It was the only thing in the entire house he was forbidden to touch. There were things in there that could kill people. He made a solemn promise to his parents about this, and he wasn't going to break it. Anyway, there are plenty of other good things in the bathroom. Here's one. Golden Gloss hair shampoo. "That ought to wash her tummy nice and clean," said George, as he emptied it into the pan. He took a full tube of toothpaste, squeezed out the whole lot in great long white worms. "Maybe that'll brighten up those horrid brown teeth of hers," he said. There was an aerosol can of super foam shaving soap belonging to his father. George loved playing with aerosols. He pressed the button and kept his finger on it till there was nothing left, and the wonderful mountain of white foam built up in the giant saucepan. With his fingers, he scooped out the contents of a jar of vitamin-enriched face cream. In went a small bottle of nail varnish. "If the toothpaste doesn't clean her teeth," George said, "then this will paint them as red as roses." He found another jar of creamy stuff. Hair remover. Smear it on your legs and allow it to remain for 5 minutes. George tipped it all into the saucepan. Then there was some yellow stuff called Dishworth's famous dandruff cure, and a white powder for cleaning false teeth. And the last thing was another aerosol can. Nevermore Ponking deodorant spray, guaranteed to keep away unpleasant body smells for a whole day. "She could use plenty of that," said George, and sprayed it all into the saucepan. Then he went to look in the bedroom. There, on his mother's dressing table, was yet another lovely aerosol can. Helga's hair set. Hold 12 inches away from the hair and spray lightly. Spray lightly. He squirted the whole lot into the saucepan. He did enjoy squirting those aerosols. There's a bottle of perfume there called Flowers of Turnips, which smelt of old cheese. Ugh. In it went. Then there was a round box of powder. It was called Pink Plaster. There was a powder puff on top, and he threw that in as well for good luck. He found a couple of lipsticks. He squeezed them out and chucked them in. Ugh. Then he went downstairs. In the laundry room, the shelves were full of all kinds of household items. The first one was a large box of Super White for automatic machines. Dirt will disappear like magic. George didn't know whether Grandma was automatic or not, but she certainly was a dirty old woman, so she'd better have it all. There was a round cardboard carton on the shelf. It said, "Flea powder for dogs. Keep well away from the dog's food, because this powder, if eaten, will make the dog explode." "Good," said George, and he poured it all into the saucepan. The next box was canary seed. "Perhaps this will make the old bird sing," said George. Well now, thought George, Grandma's medicine is brown, so my medicine must be brown too, or she'll smell a rat. A good way to colour it will be with this tin of brown shoe polish. He scooped it out with an old spoon and plopped it into the mixture. And he was just about to go into the kitchen when he saw a bottle of gin near the door. Grandma was very fond of gin. She was allowed to have a small nip of it every evening. Now he would give her a treat. He would pour in the whole bottle. And he did. Back in the kitchen, George put the huge saucepan on the table. Then he had a look at the bottles and jars on the shelves. He chose a tin of curry powder, a tin of mustard powder, a bottle of extra hot chili sauce, a jar of black peppercorns, and a bottle of horseradish sauce. "George," came the screechy voice from the next door room, "what are you up to in there?" Nothing, Grandma. Absolutely nothing." "Is it time for my medicine yet?" No, Grandma, not for about half an hour." "Well, just so you don't forget it." "I won't, Grandma. I promise, I won't." At this point, George suddenly had an extra good wheeze. Although the medicine cupboard in the house was forbidden to him, what about the animal medicines his father kept in the shed? Nobody had ever told him he mustn't touch those. Let's face it, George said to himself, hairspray and shaving cream and shoe polish are all very well, and they'll no doubt cause some splendid explosions inside the old geezer. But what the magic mixture needs now is a touch of the real stuff, real pills and tonics to give it punch and muscle. In the dusty old shed, up on the medicine shelf, there were 5 big bottles. 2 had pills in, 2 had runny stuff in, and the last one had orange powder. The label on the powdery one said, "For chickens with foul pest, hen gripe, sore beaks, gammy leg, cockroolitis, egg trouble, broodiness, or loss of feathers. Mix 1 spoonful only with each bucket of food." "Well," said George, "the old bird won't be losing any feathers until she's had a dose of this." The next bottle had gigantic purple pills in. "For horses with horse throats," the label said. "The horse-throated horse should suck 1 pill twice a day." Well, Grandma may not have a horse throat, George said, but she's certainly got a sharp tongue. Maybe they'll cure that instead. And into the pan went the gigantic purple pills. Then there was a bottle of thick, yellowish liquid. "For cows, bulls, and bullocks. Will cure cowpox, crumpled horns, bad breath in bulls, earache, toothache, headache, hoofache, tail-ache, and sore udders." That grumpy old cow in the living room has every one of those rotten illnesses, George said. She'll need it all. And with a slop and a gurgle, the yellow liquid splashed into the saucepan. The label on the next bottle said sheep dip, for getting rid of sheep rot, ticks, and fleas. Mix 1 spoonful in 1 gallon of water and slosh it over the sheep. Caution: do not make the mixture any stronger, or the wool will fall out and the animal will be naked. "By gum," said George, "how I'd love to walk in and slosh it all over Grandma and watch the ticks and fleas go jumping off her. But I can't, I mustn't, so she'll have to drink it instead." The last bottle on the shelf had pale green pills in. Pig pills, for pigs with pork prickles, tender trotters, bristle blight, and swine sickness. Give 1 pill twice a day. More than that will make the pig rock and roll. "Just the stuff for that miserable old pig back there in the house," said George. "She'll need a very big dose." Finally, just for luck, he put in half a pint of engine oil to keep Grandma's engine running smoothly, and a handful of grease to grease her creaking joints. Then he staggered back to the house with the enormous heavy saucepan to give it a good quick boil on the stove. Soon the marvellous mixture was frothing and bubbling. The rich blue smoke filled the kitchen with a fiery, fearsome smell. It was brutal and bewitching, spicy and staggering, fierce and frenzied, full of wizardry and magic. Whenever George got a whiff of it up his nose, firecrackers went off in his skull, and electric prickles ran along the backs of his legs. Suddenly, he found himself chanting strange words that came into his head out of nowhere. "Fiery broth and witch's brew, foamy froth and riches blue, fume and spume and spoondrift spray, frizzle, swizzle, shout hooray! Watch it sloshing, swashing, sploshing, hear it hissing, squishing, spissing. Grandma better start to pray." There was only one problem. Grandma's ordinary medicine was brown, and the new medicine was a deep and brilliant blue colour. "It needs more brown in it," said George. It simply must be brown, or she'll get suspicious. He dashed outside and came back with a can of dark brown gloss paint. "Where's that medicine of mine, boy?" came the voice from the living room. "You're forgetting me! You're doing it on purpose! I shall tell your mother!" I'm not forgetting you, Grandma, George called back. "I'm thinking of you all the time." The paint had cooled the mixture down and made it go a lovely, rich, creamy brown. He tipped all Grandma's real medicine down the sink, and now all he had to do was pour the new magic mixture into the bottle, using this small jug. There. He put the cork back in the bottle. "Medicine time, Grandma!" And holding a spoon in one hand and the bottle in the other, he advanced into the living room.